Hey everybody, welcome to Frontline Football. This is our new, I guess like on the words of MMG, our new abuse pick. So, here's the thing. We don't know what to name this person. So you tell us what we should name him. Now this guy, he's your stereotypical bad person. Let's see. He robs banks, he kicks old ladies, and he also isn't a part of the Frontline Football fan base. Just a couple things that this guy does wrong. So, we do to people who are bad people. I do not do this. This is for theatrical reasons only. Welcome to Frontline Football, your one place for your news, rumors, updates, and highlights across the NFL season. And roll the intro.
Josh, what's going on in Indianapolis? I hope that you guys like the intro always, but all right, Josh.
Yeah, and that intro, do not try that at home. Just make sure, do not try that at home. That is not a thing for home. We are trained professionals here.
No, we're not.
Carson Wentz was traded to the Indianapolis Colts. So I will hand this off to Jack for his thoughts on the situation.
All right. I'm going to try to give perspective to Philadelphia and Indianapolis. As for Carson Wentz, this is best case scenario. You get to unite with your friend Frank Reich, who helped you become an MVP candidate before you fought Doug Peterson and refused to talk to the man. As for Philly, you'd want more value, but Wentz has not proved that, and on top of a bad contract, you weren't getting more than that. You were lucky to maybe get a first. And you did. You will most likely get a first behind the Colts O-line. As for the Colts, I think this is a bit of a dice roll because we don't know if Carson Wentz is going to return to form. But I do think that if Carson Wentz does return to an elite form, they're a Super Bowl contender because they got the best O-line. They have a run-first offense with Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, great duo. And then they got that top-5 defense. And I believe they also have a little play money to spend, so upgrade that receiver position, get yourself a high-end one, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Juju maybe if you wanted to. I wouldn't do that, but there's a lot of interesting options for wide receiver, but you need to get one. Hilton's regressing. Pittman's solid, but he's a good 2. And Zach Pascal can run slot. But get a receiver for Wentz and try to run it back. Win the South, go to Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I like this trade, but I was thinking ahead, and it was just funny. But if they brought that's our dog. But if they brought back like Alshon Jeffery to that, if they signed Alshon Jeffery or whatever, which is going to be one of our stories coming up a little later in the video, but God, that would have been stupid. But I think Kenny Golladay or something like that. But I like the trade. I think that the Eagles will get a first-round pick for him because his trade was a little weird. Like if he doesn't like play isn't like 75% of the time, like they don't get a first-round pick and they get a third-round pick. It's weird. So hopefully it works out for both the Colts and the Eagles because the Colts just lost Phillip Rivers, so they're trying to get back to the playoffs, and they have good caps, so they can sign whoever they want. So I think Kenny Golladay is the best option. Maybe Allen Robinson if you want to go that route. I say that Allen Robinson's safer, but I like Kenny Golladay and his deep ball. Not the deep ball. It being a deep threat. So, yeah. Josh?
I think that this is we'll see how this trade works out when it gets onto the field. I believe that this was the best situation that Carson Wentz could have gone to because Frank Reich was his offensive coordinator whenever he did have that 2017 run. So if anybody can get him back to form, it would be Frank Reich. And also with that good offensive line, their receiver core, and their good defense, they'll probably win the South, and this is probably one of the best years to do it because the Titans may lose Henry, the Texans aren't as good as years past, and Jaguars need about a year or two to rebuild. So I think that this is the best time for the Colts to maybe try to make conference Super Bowl. It's either now or never for them. So I would say good luck to the Colts and good luck to Wentz on his new team.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that does it for that story. Now let's go on to our another story. Jack, what's going on in Vegas?
All right, we got an update from a credible source that Derrick Carr is expected to stay in Vegas. Not only, they will also talk extension and trading his threat QB Marcus Mariota. So, Derrick Carr most likely to stay in Vegas for the considerable future. What are your thoughts on this, Josh?
I think that this is a good move by the Raiders. And just like I said for another take, I forgot which take that was. This is going to be, it was for Garoppolo. This is going to be a proving year for Carr because if he does not work out, Gruden will draft some random no-name out of some university to fill in for Carr's space. He will draft Daniel Jones 2.0 for the Raiders. So, Carr, you better watch out for your job because Daniel Jones 2.0 will come to take it if you don't do well this year, which will probably be who they're drafting. And then Mariota, I think that if he gets put into the right system where he becomes better and can reach the form they did with the 2015 Titans, I think that they could be a formidable foe whoever decides to trade for Mariota. So I'm going to hand it off to Zach for his take.
I'm going to talk about the Mariota thing first. I think a good area for him to go to, maybe like the football team. They already have a really good defense. I think that would be he's a good quarterback, judging by, he can still play too, because judging by that Raiders game where Carr got injured and he balled out, like he didn't win the game, but like he can still play football and at a high level. So we know that now. So his trade value will be pretty good. I think the football team should make a move for him and just probably they won't need to pick up another wide receiver in this draft, but they only have one receiver, and that's Scary Terry. So hopefully they can get another receiver to be a second option for him. So now I'm going to talk about Derrick Carr. The Derrick Carr situation is interesting. I think he's too inconsistent, but I don't really. If he can bring the team to playoffs, I'll be all right with it because it's a smart move. But really, I don't like this move too much. I hope it works out for Derrick Carr, but I don't like it. Jack?
As for Mariota, I think, like Josh and Zach said, he's going to get traded. I'm not sure where yet, but I think somewhere that's like a QB. Somewhere that can just plug and play QB and then be ready to go. I'm not sure what exactly derailed Mariota in Tennessee, but it's clear that when he played against the Chargers, he played well, and he still has something left. So I think that he does deserve another chance to be a starter. Never really got that. As for Derrick Carr, I'm a big fan of keeping him around because I feel like he's one of my more liked QBs for me in the league. I like Derrick Carr. I think he's a little underrated. He's not great. He's good, not great. But then again, he doesn't have a lot of receiver help. He has Ruggs, but he was super down year. Didn't really perform the way they wanted him to. Nelson Aguilar's very on and off, but he had some speed as well. Darren Waller's a great target, and he's got one of the better lines in football. So I think Derrick Carr should be able to figure this out. But I think the real issue comes in the Raiders' defense. The Raiders' defense, for whatever reason, it does not get better. It's not getting better. And they invest a lot in it, and it's not working. I think give Derrick Carr a defense and one more good receiver. You run it back. If it works, you extend him. If it doesn't, cut him. Go a different direction.
All right. Well, that does it for that story now. So we're going to go on to our next story, which is in Pittsburgh. And Josh, you will be taking it. So go ahead.
Big Ben Roethlisberger will be a Steeler next year. The veteran will be staying. This is probably going to be in a developmental role for their new quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. But I will get to my take soon. First, I'm going to hand it off to Zach.
I don't really like Big Ben. He's kind of a diva, and he's rude to his, not rude, but he is not the best leader in the locker room. He disses players about stuff that they should be doing, even though his belief is that he won a ring, so his way goes or no way goes. So I don't like it. Mike Tomlin's an idiot, and that Steelers team is not going to get better because that cap. They're going to be looking for players in the draft, and they always find diamonds in the rough. So they'll be able to find someone, but I don't like this. I understand why they're doing it, but both their QBs, I don't like. Dwayne Haskins, I don't hate him, but I don't like him. I don't respect what he did last year. And Big Ben, I just have no respect for him either. So, yeah. Jack?
I don't like this one bit for the Steelers. For one, Ben was super expensive. And the reality about Big Ben is he's done. The physical attributes are just not there when they matter. I get it. They started out really hot this year, like 11-0. They were ridiculous. But the reality is that season collapse happened because Ben's body was just done. It was done by the time the midseason hit, and they weren't able to hold up, and they're not made for late season football, and that is a team's worst nightmare. You need to be thriving in the late part of the season so you can make a playoff run, not falling apart. Early season is important, but how your body holds up in a late season is also important. The quarterback situation in the Steelers, I expect it to be similar. They're going to be a solid team, but once again, they're going to fall apart towards the end. That's concerning. Luckily, they got a good GM. Tomlin's still a good coach, and they got a good defense. They can keep a couple key players around. They'll probably be fine in a year or two if they can find a quarterback. That's going to be the big mystery. You keep Ben for a year, you're going to roll the dice with Haskins on your board, you're going to sign someone to free agency next year, you're going to draft someone this year, kind of like the Packers did with Jordan Love, to sit on the bench for a year, develop, and then put him in, even though Jordan Love won't be putting in, but same concept, draft a QB while one's on the roster that's starting. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do this season. I don't expect that much. I expect disappointment, and I don't think this is really good for the Steelers' future. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I think probably what would be the best move for them, because yes, he may be staying, is test him out in the preseason. If he's not even doing well in the preseason, cut him, but also make sure you have an insurance option. Because yes, I can see where they're trying to go with Dwayne Haskins being their new starting quarterback, but I would say get some insurance for Dwayne Haskins. Maybe the guy from Cincinnati, maybe get him in. Maybe get Mac Jones if you can take him. There are a bunch of things that you could do to make sure that you always have insurance. Or, I'm so sorry about that. Our dogs are just barking. But you got to have insurance for stuff like this. And even, just like Jack said, it's shown that Big Ben cannot be a second-half player. And you got to know, even with the Patriots, they were second-half teams. That second half of the season, you got to be on point. Big Ben can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So make sure you have an insurance, and if Big Ben does not work out in early season, cut him. Get his contract off your books.
All right. So now we're going to talk about franchise tagging. Jack, you want to take this story?
Yes. So the franchise tag period officially started today, Tuesday, February 23rd. So that's officially started. I'll open up with my take, and I think the interesting part about this and the reason it's a story is that it's not going to be as expensive to franchise tag players from last year compared to this year. Cap went down, franchise tag went down. And specifically in the safety area, which I find interesting, is we have Marcus May and Justin Simmons both most likely getting the tag at around $12 million a year, which is actually a pretty good deal for safeties. Another factor to keep an eye on is Robinson, Galladay. These receivers, these big-name receivers we're talking about in the offseason previews, there's a real chance they get tagged if the Lions and the Bears can get back to zero in their cap and make sure they can keep them in. So overall, it's just interesting because it went down, meaning we're going to see some tags of some bigger-name players as they wait for their contract extensions. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I think that this will be a very interesting time because the free agency market will really be shaken up with this, more than when JJ said the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So you're going to have some big names staying with teams that they probably don't want to stay with, but they have to because of the franchise tag. So, and with the cap going down, it's going to be very interesting to see teams try to franchise tag people, even to just get to zero and try franchise tagging people. Zach, what are your thoughts?
I think there's going to be a lot of franchise tags this year. Some names in mind: Kenny Galladay, Allen Robinson, Will Fuller. I also think that Justin Simmons, like Jack said, will get franchise tagged. There will be a lot of players that you'll notice that are not getting contracts, but they're getting franchise tagged, so then they can stay in their team for one more year. But what do you do after that? So after that year, and say like you guys don't win the Super Bowl, like for example, Broncos, they're not close on winning a Super Bowl. So you just franchise tag Justin Simmons. What about the next year after that? Like, what are you gonna do? Because I'm expecting the cap to go up next year. If it goes down again, then you could just franchise tag him, but I don't expect the cap to do that. But now I'm seeing that Derrick Henry might be able to get franchise tag too. So who knows? This might be really good for some teams most teams if they can get their cap to zero, but it's going to be kind of hard to do that. But I believe in some teams like the Lions to do it. So, yeah. All right. For our final story today, I think it's our final story. Yes, it is. Sean Jackson and Alshon Jeffery have just been released from the Eagles. I'm going to hand this one off to Josh. Josh, what is your take on this?
I think that this is a good move by the Eagles. You're trying to get rid of some cap. You're trying to free it up because you have the second worst cap in the NFL, along with the Wentz deal. That's going to really hurt your cap situation too. So it's good to get these players out. Now, for other teams, this will really help them because you have veteran leadership in the free agency class now, where it's going to be for teams who just need that last receiver or some guy who has been in the NFL for a while and who knows their way around to help these young receivers out and get them to a Super Bowl. And these are also two Super Bowl proven receivers. Both of them have rings with the Eagles. So I would say be on the lookout for where they go because they're probably going to be going to a Super Bowl contender. I want to hand it off to Jack for his take.
This was going to happen. If you look at it, the Eagles fans, prepare yourself. You're about to go on a big downward spiral, worse than last year, because you're rebuilding now. Got a new head coach, got rid of your quarterback. There's no reason to keep veteran receivers that get wins. You need to start, not necessarily tanking, but you don't need veteran receivers. You're not going to be a Super Bowl contender within the next 3 years. So having those veterans, they can go to real Super Bowl contenders that are ready to go, and they can have impact to Sean Jackson's speed, Alshon Jeffery's leadership. These are good veteran receivers for anyone to have. As for Philly, they're just going to get ready to rebuild around Hurts, whatever they want to do. They got to get younger, and it starts with releasing these two veteran receivers, get younger in the receiving core. Also some players on the O-line and defense that are aging. But key for a rebuilding team is you need to get cap and younger. And Philly's starting that by releasing two veteran wide receivers here. What are your thoughts, Zach?
All right, well, I feel like these guys will either be signed together because they are a really good 1-2 punch and a receiver. But I do also see these guys going separately to different teams. I like those two receivers. I don't want them on my team, but, like, it would be kind of cool to see, like, I don't know what team. It would be kind of cool seeing, like, the football team with them, with one of them or someone like that. It's really smart for the Eagles to do, and one of the players that I think they might release this year or maybe even next year is Fletcher Cox, because sure, he's not having the same production that he did the Super Bowl run, and he's getting older. He's in his 30s now, so maybe just take him out after you get like a good defensive tackle, either in this draft or next year's draft, and then you can just take him off, and then you can keep taking off guys off your team like Darius Slay, which Darius Slay is getting up there in age. I know he's only in his 20s, but Darius Slay didn't really prove himself this year, so we don't know what their deal is with him. So, yeah. All right. Well, that does it for our video today. If you liked it, what should they do, Josh?
Like always, if you like what you saw, don't forget to balance. hit that like button, punch that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to join the Frontline Football fan base. The fan base that is always caught up on every single thing of news that happens around the NFL because they watch Frontline Football every Wednesday, Friday, and now Sunday. So make sure that you always do it, or else if you're a bad person, you may end up like, well, no name right now. We're still trying to figure out a name for him. So I got one last thing to say. Have a great day, and Jack, hit the plugs.
All right, as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Type it into your phone at FrontlineFB. Too lazy for that? Links are in the description. You click on it, it takes you right to it. As Josh said, be ready. Frontline News Wednesday. AFC East, episode 1 of the previews coming out. That will be Friday. NFC East, episode 2 of the previews. That will be Sunday. And expect that pattern. AFC Friday, NFC Sunday, Frontline News Wednesday, when needed. So far it has been, as the offseason is about to get wild. We'll see you guys back here Friday.
Sorry about the dogs.
See ya.